The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Hey y'all, here we are again. It's good to see y'all. We're here with another episode of Still a Rose, and I have a wonderful guest that I brought on today to help me out today. And I know last week we was talking about relationships, but I wanted to kind of switch it up and bring in a great woman today, Black woman in business, and I had to get her on here. And because she's so busy, this is the only day I can get her. So we're going to talk to her today. And then in the next week, we get back to the relationships. But I definitely wanted you guys to learn some things from her because the business she's in, the stigma around it, right? And so I wanted, because she's been doing this legally before it even became legal, correct? Well, I'm going to let you think about that. This is what I know. This is what I know. But her name is Victoria Williams, and tell the people who you are.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Victoria Williams, and I am the CEO of Wake and Vape and Wake and Puff, and also ACC of Illinois Transportation, which is a third-party cannabis transportation company.
Okay, so exactly what does that do? Because I know before you actually did the storefront and everything, I was understanding about the ACC transportation service. So give us a little background about exactly what is that.
So ACC of Illinois Transportation is a third-party transportation company. We basically is a B2B, which is business to business. We transport cannabis from the manufacturers of cannabis to the retail dispensary stores. Our company was the first company to actually employ Black men to transport cannabis in the state of Illinois.
And how did you get started with all of this?
Well, this is a story all about how. No. All right. So I got into this industry about 10 years ago. And I got in I was trying to get into the education sector of cannabis, which I did. When I first got in, I was going out to Colorado, spending a lot of money taking classes, just really trying to learn the actual infrastructure of the business. So, a lot of people jump into business without understanding business. Mm-hmm. And then when they find themselves drowning and crashing, they just give up, But taking the time to actually educate myself, and I'm still learning every day. So it's not like I know everything there is about cannabis, but for the most part, I got in to educate the public on consumption and cannabinoids, the medicinal benefits of cannabis. Before cannabis, I'm a former EMT, and I used to see people come out to the ambulance with a Ziploc bag full of medications. And I knew I didn't want to be that person in particular. And so at the time I was dating a guy and he smoked a lot of weed, and he was like, "Hey, I watched this show on Denver. We should go to Colorado." And I was like, "Well, yeah, if there's a business opportunity there, I'm down." So we went out to Colorado. It was a lot of business opportunities out in Colorado. We met with software companies like FlowHub. That was like one of the OGs and software out there in Colorado. Met with a lot of different cannabis companies. You know, they were really nice and friendly too. They were not gatekeepers of information as it relates to, yeah. Colorado wasn't hard to get my feet in the door and get wet. You know, I started doing tours and I was taking people from Illinois out to Colorado so they can go behind the scenes of dispensaries of the MEPs. So infusers are called MEPs in Colorado. Yeah, they'd be like, when you say, what is a MEP? Okay, it is a infuser facility that actually you can see them do BHO extraction, so how your shatters and your waxes and your sugars are made.
Wow.
You can see them make moon rocks. You can see pre-rolls being made. You can see gummies. Just about anything is all being made inside those MEPs. And some of the dispensaries that we gave tours to were vertically integrated. And so what vertically integrated means is they have all the licenses under one building infrastructure. So one part of the building is a dispensary. Another part of the building is where they're growing flower. Oh, it was cool. It was cool. It was like, what? I didn't even know they did all of this. It was really a nice eye-opening experience for people, all the travelers who came out to my tours. And then I got close with one company in Colorado, and we decided to apply for a dispensary license here in Illinois. And so that's the store that you guys saw me open up a couple of years ago. And then I sold my ownership of that retail.
really?
Oh, yeah. I sure did. And yeah, I'm no longer owner of that dispensary. I know a lot of people still think I am. I didn't make like no public announcement like, you check it out, you know. You still go shop over there, you know, like I'm not an owner anymore. But my products is in the store. So you might
tell people where is this location
I'd rather not.
at? Okay.
So well, honestly, my products is at 85 dispensaries in the state of Illinois. And so really we give people our Instagram. We do a lot of contests on Instagram, and we always tell where we're going to be at on Instagram. For example, today our team is going to be out in Danville at 7 Point Dispensary. If you've never been there, you got to check it out. It's a record store. And so you could go in the dispensary and you can pick up my vape hardware and you can place it on this little thing, and all the information about the product will come up on the screen. It's one of the coolest dispensaries I've ever been to. And then they also go into a dispensary out in Tilton called Parkway Dispensary. And if you've never been out there, just plan a day. Get a hotel. Is like, just plan a day, because that dispensary, Parkway Dispensary Tilton, they have everything. They have a consumption lounge. They have food. They have a bar. They have gaming. You can spend the entire day there. They have a stage for entertainment. Sometimes they have, like today is they have an event today called the CannaFest out there. So my team will be out there today representing our brand here. They're also going to be, yesterday they was at Galaxy out in Matson, Illinois. So you can find us in Galaxy with our pre-rolls and our vapes. They're going to be at Villa Park Green Relief Dispensary, which I actually do the education for the staff at that particular dispensary under ACC of Illinois. And where else? They had a couple other places. I hate that I can't remember all the names, because I like to give our store partners a shout out, because it's very hard being in this industry, being a Black person in this industry, but it's even harder being a Black woman in this industry. Yes. So
What are some of the complications you came across with being a Black woman in this industry?
What year?
Give me one of the most challenging ones that you have seen, that you just blew your mind, that you couldn't believe you came across.
So for one, a lot of people are under the impression that because you have a Black owned brand, that you will automatically be put into the Black owned dispensaries in Illinois. And that's not the case. It was pure disappointment, but it's okay. Just a reality check, you know. But it's strange. And if I'm going to be really honest, because I just had a person make a knockoff brand of my vapes.
Really?
Yeah. So and it kind of hurt my feelings, and I spoke on it a little bit and called it out on LinkedIn, because that person literally used to sit side by side with me at different vending events where they had their brand over there and I had my brand over here. So, made a knockoff brand. And someone was talking about how well that brand is selling at their store. And I said, well, that's because as a community, that person sent out an email blast, and people in every community support their own except us as Black people. We always say we want to make it to the top and things of that nature, but we don't put our dollars into that. Just recently, yeah, it is. Yeah, I can go on and on about that, because just recently, an African American man by the name of Reese Xavier, who has a craft grow that he's building out here in Hazelcrest. And he just launched a brand of gummies called Savor. And so me and my platform, we don't sell the same products. And even if we did, I will support him because he's a Black man trying to thrive in this male dominant, white dominant industry. And I said, if you guys want, we have the power to take any Black owned brand to number one. But we don't put our dollars behind that. We will go and buy any brand, opposed to some other ethnic groups will only purchase from those particular people.
Exactly.
And so that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
it's a letdown sometimes, because we do 3 times the work for the same dollar. So that's the hard part, underestimating what could happen, like, don't do that.
No, for real. And so to go back to what we were talking about when I was introducing you, and I was saying, I know you've kind of been in this thing for a while before it became so popular and big. That's what I was saying. She was teaching classes way before it became big in Illinois and in different states. And before it even became legal in Illinois, I was living in DC, and it was very legal out there and big and everything. And that's kind of what made me start getting into it. And so when I found out about you, my mother was like, you need to go talk to her because she's doing it, and she's doing it the right way. And that's amazing that you said, hey, let me teach myself. Because most people ain't about to go out of state to find out about weed or whatever. And it was such a bad stigma about it, right? Especially being, let me ask you this. What is your belief system? Do you have one?
We are Christian.
Okay. So
we do believe in God. Yeah.
So I say that to say, because, there's a big bad stigma about that in the Christian church, correct?
It is.
And how have you handled that part?
With discretion.
Okay.
So number one, when I was teaching people how to make edibles in different classes back in 2018, we had some church folks that we taught with discretion. We would come to their homes, let it be private. If they brought edibles, they always remained private. Nobody knew. But it's really bad, the negative connotation around cannabis, because the medicinal benefits of it. For example, when I met a woman who was the pastor's wife, she was elderly, and she never consumed cannabis. And I have a testimony video from her that I have to see if she want me to ever release it. But she did a video that she talked about when she first met me, she could barely walk. And I was giving her different products that we were making for her to try. And this woman said, now she got rollerblades. And I'm like, in my 40s, I ain't buying no rollerblades. I can't afford an injury.
Yeah.
But her energy was there. And when I talk about it, it was like, when I met her, she was in such a bad state. She had been hit by a car. She was not in the best health. And these products, there are medicinal products out here, although we can't make medicinal claims legally on cannabis because the pharmaceutical drug company will sue me. But what I can say is people who are not educated about a plant, they're spending so much money on these pharmaceutical drugs, and they prescribe one and make you buy another one, and you have to get another one, and you need another one. Oh, this gonna lower your blood pressure, but then you're gonna need a water pill for that, and then you're gonna need a potassium pill for that, and then you're gonna need another pill for that, and here you go paying all these prescription drugs. And so researching this and educating yourself is the best way to do it. And for me, it's not all church people, but it's a huge percentage of it. And this is how us as African Americans lose out on wealth trends, right? So we wasn't around for the .coms and the Yahoos and the Googles, right? But we was around for energy deregulation. And Black people didn't get in on it until the very end. The same with cannabis. Like Black people are they're still scared to say it on these shows. But when you watch TV, everybody eating gummies on these TV shows now. Everybody, all of a sudden, they're introducing weed into like every new movie now. You seeing Medea smoke weed, you seeing all of these things. And it's like, once you guys are comfortable enough to talk about it and dispel the negative connotations around it, it's too late, because so many other people that made billions off of it, and you haven't even gotten your foot in the door. Yeah.
And that is a big problem with this whole industry, which is why I wanted you to kind of come on here and talk about it and the benefits of it, because as a Christian woman, I partake in it in my past. I've took time off for a while. But this is what I want people to understand when it comes down to it. There are benefits when it comes down to the medical or medicinal reason of using marijuana. And I've had clients myself that taking chemo. And because I know how to make the products, they, hey, can you make me something because the medicine is not working? And I was coming to their house directly. I was even going to a hospital at one point, and I was going to see a friend, dropping it off. And then I end up getting a whole bunch of people like, do you mind? I'm just dropping it off while they sitting there doing chemo. And some people, it does really help them when it comes down to pain. I even hear older people like, hey, when I'm done and I'm done working, all I'm doing is retiring and I'm sitting down and I'm smoking weed. And it's because, hey, this is something that I put off. I realized because of the negative stigma on it, And especially if you're a Christian, I hear elderly Christians all the time say, if I won't in this church, if I didn't have this position.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a negative thing, because you're the same person that'll go get those pharmaceuticals and those drugs from the pharmacy. What makes it different if you're using it for a medical purpose?
Exactly.
What makes it, and that's just my opinion on it.
It's a safe space need to be created for Christians to comfortably consume cannabis. That's the thing. And here's the deal. And I don't want to really get off subject, but it's so many people being judged in the church that it's hard for them to actually be themselves, And so that's really an issue. And I'll tell you something from personal. When I got into this industry, I was not a cannabis consumer at all. I got into this industry and I started using a cannabis cream because I used to be in pain. I suffered from inflammation in my lower extremities, and my doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was seeing rheumatologists, hematologists, oncologists. My CK levels was high. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. But I was waking up every single day in pain, and I felt like I was crippled. And this is in my 30s, and it was like every morning you feel like your body is crumbling. And I was going to Colorado and I was getting this cream, and it was a 50-50 cream. So it was half THC, half CBD, and it did not have any psychotropic effect on me. So I was rubbing the cream on my lower extremities, and that was working tremendously well for me. And so when I became a cannabis consumer, I was using topicals. And so when people think about cannabis, all they think about is you smoking cannabis. They got a patch you can put on your foot. They got a cannabis inhaler you can use. It's so many other ways to consume cannabis other than smoking it. And so That's the thing. Being educated on this plant and all the things about it really help people make informed decisions about it.
Yes.
This is not a campaign saying, hey, smoke weed and you're never going to have to take cholesterol medication. That's not what I'm saying. Don't ever stop taking medications without your doctor's permission. But I know people who have put themselves off their medications.
Yeah, me too. as
Them
well.
they took themselves off and
Mhm.
started using, instead of taking Adderall, they started using Wild Focus gummies. There's
Mhm.
a brand called Wild in the state of it. Well, they're in a lot of states, but in Illinois, they're called Wild. They got blood orange focus gummies. And some people have taken themselves off medication to take those gummies to help them with their ADHD.
Mhm.
And that's not me making claims or vouching for anybody's products. It's just talking about the way that if you inform yourself, you can make better educated decisions on it. And it really needs to help the people in the church because they're elderly and they're in pain. I was in a car accident
Mhm.
on my 40th birthday. I spent my entire 40th birthday in a hospital. I was a passenger in a vehicle and I was in a really bad car accident. And so my hip is not aligned. I'm still
Mhm.
out of alignment even to this day, because they then froze, like they did a lot of stuff, you know. But I use this topical made by CNS Harvest. Is either Doc C or Dickens, one of those brands. I don't know which one it is, but I've been encouraging them to make a woman's line of that. Don't listen. We might end up doing something. Let them see this podcast
Right.
because they gave it to me because a lot of times I wake up and my hip is hurting me from that car accident. To this
Mhm.
day, I still be in pain. And it's like a lubricant or something. I don't even, it's something that I spray on my hip. I rub it in and it's a fast onset.
Okay.
So I'm not waiting for this ibuprofen to kick in, you know. I'm not
Okay.
waiting for this Tylenol to kick in that's going to impact my liver. I'm just spraying a topical on and I'm going about my business and I'm not getting high from it. See how many people are like really they're not necessarily getting the benefits of cannabis because they keep focusing on people smoking weed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the high part.
And
I
being
think that's
high.
where the Christians begin to or people that have a negative stigma on it look at it, they begin to look at it in a negative way because they're looking at, oh, I hear this, you keep your spirit clear, you need to have a sober mind and all of these things. But let's look at the medical reasons why people are using it. Instruct yourself. And that's one thing me and my dad used to go back and forth all the time. I'm like, hey, go do some research before you keep coming at my head.
Talking about that devil's lettuce.
Right, because I can't stand when a person constantly saying something wrong about them, but you don't have the research.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you're like, hey, no, you need to educate yourself because it's not as bad as you think it is wonderful. And people need to know about that because there is so many people suffering with pain and don't have to suffer from pain.
They don't have to suffer.
And even I look at people that take high blood pressure medication. People, you really look at the ingredients what's in most of these blood pressure medications. They got venom in it, snake venom in it, in one of them. And it's like, come on, y'all.
And then after so long of being on some of these pharmaceutical drugs, they actually have an adverse reaction.
Yeah.
So people typically have to come off those drugs after a period of time. And the same research, like you have to be your best advocate when you go to see a medical doctor. You have to be that same advocate when it comes to cannabis. Me spraying that lube on my hip and going by my business, I'm not getting high. And see, the thing you just brought up your dad, my mom is like that. My aunt is like that. It was so bad. They used to call cannabis drugs. In our family. Like we grew up thinking one of our aunties was on drugs. We judged her. We judged her. And then we found out it was just weed.
Yeah.
I was like, man. We was around here judging this lady and it was just weed the whole time. We didn't know what it was, but she got made fun of for using and they called it drugs in my family. And so me coming from being a professional and being an EMT in my previous career, your mom knows me. To see me in cannabis is like people be looking like, oh, how did she get over there? How did you go from this?
Mm-hmm.
You were doing that. How did you get to this point? And it's so frowned upon. It's so frowned upon. I used to have people in my family who frowned upon it until they saw the money that I made and the cars that I drive and where I live and my kids.
Look, but all my life, everything that I've accomplished, like people used to tell me, like, you need to let that weed go. I used to be like, I don't need to. I got this. I'm gonna get that job. I'm gonna get that education. I don't need it. I got it. The funny part is, I always heard my father be like, I don't know how God, what's your relationship with you and God, and how you keep getting blessed and these things happen, and girl, your lifestyle. But you're too busy looking at what you think is wrong, not realizing that I don't do this, I don't idolize it. I'm not and when I gotta go to work, when I gotta go to church, when I got business to take care of, I'm not smoking.
Exactly.
You know, this is my relaxed time when I'm coming home.
Yes. Some people got a desensitized.
This is me decompressing. And there's other reasons why I decided, like, I have asthma, so it's kind of cutting into that. So I had to stop smoking. But then again, there's the gummies, there's the other things that I could, if I wanted to.
They got an inhaler, a cannabis inhaler. Girl. I listen. All right, so you want to hear a funny story? No, this is a funny story. I had got a cannabis inhaler in Colorado, and when I first used it, I didn't know if it went in or not. So I did a second puff. Baby, I was out of my mind. My airway was completely open. It opened me up instantly because with my asthma, they always want to give me steroids. As soon as you go to the hospital, you're going to get 60 milligrams of steroid. They're going to send you home on 40 milligrams and wing you down to maybe like 5 milligrams, but at the same time, you eating more, you feeling depressed. Google everything that's in steroids, like if you Google everything that's in there, that's their first go-to is this. Yeah. This is going to open you up. Even with the nebulizer treatments, and I'm not telling people not to listen to their doctors because some people actually need to listen to their doctors and their bodies and do their own research. But with the nebulizer treatments, people get really bad headaches. They be shaking. They don't tell you about all of that.
I go through headaches sometimes. I go through certain things with just feeling like I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I just took the breathing treatment, but everything in me still feel all tight.
Inflammation.
And I'm like, I didn't start having these issues until my 30s. When I first was told I had a bronchitis infection, and then they gave me all this stuff, and that's just been ongoing.
Well, see, asthma is just allergies. Our entire air is polluted. When somebody have a fire, we getting it. When somebody have whatever is going on in other states, we're catching it. It's bad weather. A lot of Black people don't know that you're allergic to grass. If you go see an allergist and go get your allergy test, you're going to find out you're allergic to grass. You be like, what? I've been rolling around in grass my whole life. And guess what, baby? You're allergic to it. So it's a lot of different things that can flare your asthma. You just got to find out what those triggers are. And so, cannabis is not an end all be all, but it is a revenue tool to me. The largest wealth trend is in its own category. There is no other industry like the cannabis industry. And there's so many ways to capitalize off of it, not just plant touching. Because think about it, my transportation company, we don't touch anything. We pull up, they give us product, they give us paperwork. The totes are sealed. Only the dispensaries can open it. We don't pass nothing to them. We touch nothing. So that's it's a non-plant touching business. The podcast, the ancillary businesses, they're all non-plant touching. Even in the plant touching business is not a bad business, if you do the math on, how many dispensaries are open in the state of Illinois. Right now, we have about 258 dispensaries open right now. And so you get, even if you can get your product and saturate 25% of the market, you can do very well in this industry. And it's not too late, but I'm feeling like people are still struggling. And I think it's going to take the Black churches about 10 more years.
Well, that's because we always judging and think we know everything before we find out. But that's something we're going to talk about one day, because that is the issue within our Black churches. Yeah. Quick thing, though. before we head out, I want the people to kind of know what your products are. I know these are the pre-rolls, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's called Wake and Puff.
Mm-hmm.
This one says Twilight Berry. Y'all know what pre-rolls are.
Dirty Eagle.
Dirty Eagle is this one. Look at that one. And
that's called Keisha.
I like
this
your
is
name.
Stacy. Is it Keisha?
I'm not gonna act like I know all about the vape, so I'm gonna let them.
Okay, so this company is called Wake and Vape. Actually, the brand is called Wake and Vape, and I just extended the Wake family. Mm-hmm. So when I started this brand, Wake and Vape, this brand is for moms. It's for women and especially moms. And what I did, I wanted to create a safe space for women to consume cannabis. You know, I am a soccer mom. My son got a baseball game today at 2:00. Okay, my kids play a lot of different sports, and so when we sitting in the soccer bleachers, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's cold, and here's a vape, and it fits in the palm of my hand, and it does not smell like cannabis. Absolutely nobody will know. If you remember that TikTok, somebody's like, how would they know? How would they know? Exactly. And so they look like nicotine. They don't look like cannabis if you take a look at it and fit it in your hand. You know, it's very discreet. It's tourist friendly. We have a charging port on it. So if your vape dies before you use your oil, you can charge this thing up. And I felt like this was missing in the cannabis industry because when I opened my former dispensary, we used to have customers come in wanting a refund because they battery died on the vape and they still had oil in it. It's nothing we can do about that. So I made sure my hardware was created with a charger port. Also, if you look at the silicone mouthpiece here, this was made with women in mind because we wear lipstick. Yes. And we like to share our vapes. You know, we want other people to try it and things like that. So everything about this product that I created, it was for women, to empower women, to educate women, to create a safe space on consuming cannabis. And so that's where the Wake and Vape came from. The logo on it is raised here. You can feel it. It just gives them extra, so extra care to it.
Real cute and compact. And for me, like me who have little hands, I like small things so that I can fit them in my hand. I think this is perfect.
They can go through metal detectors and everything. Like I've never had an issue taking them anywhere with me. I've never had to throw them in the trash or anything. I've never had a problem with the vapes. And so this is our flagship, their Sunrise Mango, Twilight Berry, and the Berry Bliss. And so what we did was we launched a pre-roll line, Wake and Puff. And then we're going to have our gummy line. Oh, I should have brought the packaging in. It was so cute. And maybe next time, when they come out, we have a hard candy that is coming, and it's going to be called Wake and Take. And the packaging is extremely cute. It's something you have never seen in Illinois ever. I'll show you a picture of it. So it's so cute. It's in my car too. And so those are Wake and Take. And then our flower, we're torn in between Wake and Bake or Wake and Roll. Wake and Bake is just what people do anyway. So I feel like we should just go ahead and run with the Wake and Bake because this is the Wake family. So then we're going to do live rosin. And so it'll be Wake and Live. So, and that's for the live rosin. And I'm designing all of these things myself. So I literally draw these things out and send them over to a manufacturer. I go to a lot of expos and conventions to find manufacturers for packaging, hardware, everything that I'm looking for. I go out and source those things myself. And then, of course, we got right here in front of you these green little cute ones here. We're launching these on Juneteenth. These are our mojito line. So this is the best of both worlds. And something cool about the mojito vapes, we haven't announced it yet, but we're going to be giving out $420 cash prize. It's going to be inside one of the vape boxes. So when we launch it, we're shooting a promo video on Tuesday for the mojito vapes to let everybody know they're coming soon. But we're actually launching them on our Wake and Vape 1-year anniversary. So we launched Wake and Vape June 19th, 2024, and we launched in 13 stores that day. That's where we started, in 13 dispensaries. We're in 85 now. And we just making our plan that we want to be slow and steady and build our business the right way. Like, we're not trying to rush to the bottom and just put our product in a bunch of different dispensaries. We want to make sure we are having good partnerships with those dispensaries, that our brand is seen in those dispensaries, that our bud tenders are well taken care of in the dispensaries. Just having a really good partnership, it makes people buy your brand, and it's doing very well. So we are launching these on our 1-year anniversary, and we are having a party at Stash Dispensary in Orland Hills on June 19th from 12 to 4. And that's probably during the week. But we're going to have so many different brands there. Stash Dispensary is one of my favorite dispensaries. They have a really big stage in there. We will have DJ, and we're going to be giving out a lot of free samples. So you might as well come like you're trick-or-treating.
So some people is like, y'all here, she has a lot of education. Are you still holding your ACC classes where you doing instructing people, or you just tapped out of that and into the whole products and dispensary stuff now?
So right now, products is my focus. I do have education online right now. I'm not doing anything in person this year. I might do a tour, maybe a tour in probably September. I'm thinking about it. I'm just getting a lot of people that want to go on the tours, and my tours are $300, and it does not cover your airfare, hotel, none of those expenses. That's how the cost of the tour. So we're just trying to figure it out, but we want to make sure we manufacture product, because that's what I really enjoy doing.
So what's the website and the Instagram page that people can find your stuff?
The Instagram is Wake, the letter N, Vape, V as in Victor, L as in Larry, P. That's Wake and Vape VLP. Our last Wake and Vape page was shut down because we had NBA player Matt Barnes trying to vape on the page, and Instagram was like, it goes against community standards. So we lost 12,000 followers. And our new page, we're starting from scratch. We got about 500 now. So, we had to start over.
Somebody made me a sex therapist on mine.
What?
Took down all my stuff and put me up as a sex therapist.
Well, that sounds fun. Did it generate revenue?
Me like, girl, what is going on with you? What? They like, you a sex therapist now? Like,
Wow. Oh my God.
But yeah,
that is funny. I was really upset though, because I was like, man, it took so long to build up those followers, and Instagram took my page, but I can see somebody murder a kid on Instagram. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All the way that they control content is weird. If y'all ever decide to do a class action, make sure y'all reach out to me too, because I'll definitely like to go in on that, because it's like they pick and choose who pages to shut down, and it's crazy because we're all advertising the same thing, especially with cannabis. So it was unfortunate, and I had people telling me, I can get your page back for $1,000. I'm not paying nobody $1,000 to get the page back. It's not that deep for me. My money is really made by my relationships with dispensaries. And then I like to advertise to consumers to where they can find our products at. So we have an Instagram, and we have a LinkedIn page that is not very active, but I do want to make sure we as a Black community know LinkedIn is where the money is at. Okay.
Yeah. I just
get your LinkedIn page.
You're not lying. Somebody put me on it now. I'm in the whole digital marketing.
Get your LinkedIn page. That's where all the business is, and that's where all the money is at. It's on LinkedIn. We post jobs there. I've came into so many opportunities just being on LinkedIn. And I say that because I had someone, Nicole Muhammad from Chicago Cred. For 3 years, she had told me to get a LinkedIn. And I was like, that I don't want another social media page to manage. Okay. I'm not young. But I'm so happy that I finally went ahead and got the LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is really utilized for business. So I break down Facebook is for your friends, family, and frenemies. Your Instagram is for all your parties and whatever you're trying to announce to followers. This is where they can find you at. And LinkedIn is really where we conduct business at. You know,
it is.
you can meet all the executives you're looking for. The Geico man, Pepsi, whoever. You might not get in, you know, but most of them are on LinkedIn. They post regularly on LinkedIn. They check inbox messages on LinkedIn. Jobs are on LinkedIn. So many career paths have started because of LinkedIn. I have hired people from LinkedIn. You know, they reached out to me. Hey, we saw your post on LinkedIn. Can I apply for this job? You know, blah, blah, blah. So I want to encourage us because we're always behind on everything. We're behind on all the wealth trends. We be behind on the social medias. We were behind on the YouTube channels. We're just behind. We'll never be on the same playing field, but we got to do more to push each other forward.
Yeah, and you know, as we're talking now, I just want people to focus in this week on that part. As a Black community, there's so much opportunity out there. Get out of your fear, get out of your comfort zones. Allow yourself to tap in. Something she said very important. You know, hey, I wanted to know about this, so I got on a plane and I went to Colorado and I started teaching myself. And that's what it takes sometimes for us to get out our mindsets or just that comfort place. Step out. If God is telling you to go to a different state to find out some information, if he's telling you to go down the street, do it, because there's wealth. And just like her, she started like just the transportation, holding classes. Now look at her. And she's networking and building with different people in the industry that I have also seen to be mostly white men. But she's put her foot in that industry and she's making money. And I believe it's someone that we could honestly look up to in a sense of saying, hey, teach me how to get that mindset of go getting it. That's a go getter spirit. And I love that about you.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you congratulations on everything that you have accomplished. Continue to keep going. Continue to keep educating everybody else. I look at your page sometimes, and even on my days of discouragement, okay, let me get up. Because to see another person doing it, whether woman or man, but when we see people in our community getting up, doing things, making accomplishments, we should not be hating on each other. We should be like, yes, go girl, get it. Let me touch you if I get a little of that spirit, because it's real. We got to stop hurting each other as a community. So I want to thank you for coming out. And
thank you for saying that too.
Oh, thank you so much for coming out and sharing this with our people, and you know, just letting people know that it's not such a bad stigma when it comes down to marijuana. There is some good benefits. There's a lot of great benefits about it, and we should know about it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell people before we step out?
I literally want to say success has to be just as important as your breathing. Since we both have asthma, right?
Yeah.
You know, you have to want it just as bad as you want to breathe. And this is for us. All of the doors that have slammed in my face, and I continue to do this because I wanted people from the south side of Chicago, little Black girls like me, to know you can do this. You can thrive. I grew up in a poor community. You know, my parents were teenage parents. You know, I didn't grow up in a 2-parent household. I came from the struggle, for real. And so I can always relate to how hard it is in general. But if you can just see the light at the end of the tunnel and keep putting one foot in front of the other, you can make it. I want to see more Black and brown girls and boys in this industry. And I want you guys to thrive. So I'm sitting here crawling so y'all can run. You better not walk because I'm going through it.
That's real, and I love it. So my people, you know, I give y'all a focus every week. This week, I want you to let what she said sit in your spirit. What I said, sit in your spirit. And I really want you, whatever that thing is that you know you've been supposed to do, it may not be such a big business. It may be God just saying, hey, I told you to go start this program, start this ministry, whatever it is. Get your butt up, educate yourself. Even though I motivate people to and I talk every day, guess what I do Monday through Friday? I get up and I build my skill set. That means I'm listening to other speakers. That means I'm getting new knowledge on how to become a better speaker, how to become a better coach. My lessons don't stop. I'm constantly building myself because I want to be great. I want to be able to give something to people. So get your butt up this week, y'all, and do what God told you to do. Y'all be blessed. Bye.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. That was fun.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communication Station.